boy made it to Harrahs. Looking at a small win already. We get the security, there's a huge line. And we go on the other side of the line and give the dude, I gave the guy a head nod and walked on the opposite side of the line. And obviously, sometimes you get away with that, sometimes you can't. You let us in.
So the night starts off pretty standard. I buy in for $3.20 and get a Bloody Mary. I'm a fairly tight player, especially at the casino, so I feel like ordering a drink as soon as I get there helps my table image. So the first hand that I decide to play, I look down in my pocket and find two lovely ladies. I call a $15 pre-flop bet along with two other players. We go to a very favorable flop. There's a bet of 15. I call the bet. The only bad card for us here would be a jack on the turn. Turns out it's a 3. Seat 1 leads out for $35. I make the call again. I don't want to scare him off. A slightly scary card on the river is a 9. Only Jack King would get there, but when he checks, I realize that I'm good. Put in a bet of $100, and he reluctantly makes the call. He does not show his cards. On this next hand, I'm in the small blind, and there's an early position raised to 15. It seems to scare everybody out of this pot, and I'm the only person who calls. Flop comes a 7-3 king. I check. He could easily have a better king here, or even pocket 3s or pocket 7s. He makes a $20 bet. I call. The turn brings another 7, which makes it less likely that he's got pocket 7s. I make a conservative check here just in case he does have a better king. He leads out this time for 35. I make the call. The river brings a 9. I check again in case I'm gonna have to call another bet from him. He checks. He does not show, and I pick up a pretty nice pot with king 10. Something I like to do when I play 1-3 in the casino is I get at least $10 or $20 chips. That way the dealer's not having to make change for me all the time. This helps me focus on my hand and watch other people play, so I'm not trying to keep track of whether or not the dealer threw me my $2 back. So now that we're building a pretty decent stack, it's time for me to punt some of it off in this lovely hand. I have ace-9 offsuit. I'm in the big blind, so I'm in for $3 already. So when the action comes back around to me, I throw in 7 more. On a flop of 10-7-4, the action checks around. The turn brings another 7, and it looks like the action's going to check around again. The player in the 7th seat, however, bets $15, so it looks like he's making a play at the pot. I make a call, hoping that I'll hit an ace on the river. The river is a 10, which double pairs the board. Now I'm thinking, I have 2 pair with an ace high, and I may have the best hand. When he leads out for $45, I think it's apparent to everyone but me that he had it. I may as well be throwing money in the toilet. I make a reluctant call and get shown the full house.
In this hand, we're dealt 5-6 of diamonds. The action limps around, and with good position, I decide to make it 12 to go. My $12 bet doesn't scare anyone, and I get 4 callers. The flop, however, brings a straight flush draw, and I'm very hopeful. The action checks around again, so I bet $15. I end up getting 2 callers, so we're going to need some help here on the turn of the river. The turn, however, brings a deuce of clubs. Backdoor flush draw, and no help to me, obviously. So I'm hoping that my $35 bet here is going to take it down. After some thought, both players make the fold, and we take this down without needing any help on the river.
On this next hand, I'm last to act with 4 limpers in front of me and the 2 blinds in. I make it $12 with ace-8 of diamonds. I realize this is not a premium ace hand, but I'm hoping to smash some diamonds on the flop. I'm only able to hit 1 diamond on the flop in bottom pair. The action checks all the way around. I'm fine with this, because on the turn I pick up a lot more equity with another diamond. The action checks around again, and I lead out for $20. Surprisingly, $20 was all that was needed to get the job done. Everybody folds. So on this hand, I start off with 40% of a royal flush. Small blind makes it $10 to go. I call, and I smash this flop. I hit the top pair, straight draw, backdoor straight flush draw. Obviously I check so I don't scare anyone away. They all check around. The turn comes a 7. Small blind leads out for 15. Big blind calls, I just call. There's a deuce on the river, and I have to bet. I make it 60 to go. Small blind folds. Big blind, tank calls. So now you may be watching this, and you're saying this all sounds pretty standard. You're winning a couple of pots, they're not huge, and you're losing a couple of pots. Nothing major, which I understand. I was only up a couple $100 before the night became incredibly profitable. So there's 2 guys to the left of me who don't know how to play. They've never played in a casino, and they keep having trouble trying to make change and trying to see if they can even touch their own chips. And the guy to my direct right had been drinking Coronas all night. At some point, the waitress came up to him and tried to hand him his beer, but he was in the middle of the hand. He didn't have a chance to check his cards, but he decided to bet $15 blind. Somehow, miraculously, he won this hand. So then it became a sort of game, and he raises the next hand $20 blind. Somehow he wins this hand too. Then he raised $25 blind, and some even blind on the flop. One hand, he played the entire thing blind and just raised one time on the river, and the guy folded. This drunk maniac won about 5 hands in a row at one point, and probably about 8 hands in 1 hour. Nobody could beat him. All the while, I'm trying to play these hands, and I'm getting mediocre, 10-7 suited and these sorts of hands, trying to make something, put something together, just so I could see the flop with, $100 in the middle, and one guy who hadn't even looked at his cards yet. So I'm trying to beat this guy for over an hour. I'm not having any luck. I'm totally flop dead. So now it's 1:30 in the morning. My girlfriend's looking for me, and I'm trying to explain to her how this money is just flying around at this table, and how I've got donkeys to my left and crazy people to my right, and I've got to keep playing. So I keep playing until this hand. I find myself in last position with a crazy man on my right, betting $100 pre-flop. I look down and see pocket nines. I've never called this much with pocket nines ever. And the flop runs out, king, king, 8, 2 clubs, and he leads out for 125. Now I'm thinking here, if he actually had a king, would he be leading out? So I make the call, and a loose Asian player from across the table also makes the call. The turn comes, a magical, rainbow unicorn, 9 of clubs. This obviously gives the crazy drunk player the nut flush, and me the full house. He bets $160. I make a smooth call with not much behind. It's obviously going all in. He pushes all in on the river, and I call, scooping the largest pot of the night, and probably the largest pot I have ever won, over $1,000 in the middle.
So it's morning-ish. It's probably almost noon. I slept in, obviously, because that game was way too good to leave. So I didn't leave until 4 o'clock in the morning. It was a little bit later than I expected or was trying to do. But I would definitely say it was worth it. Super aggro fish. Just was destined to give away his chips. He was going to play. He played like a maniac to get his chips. He played like a maniac to get rid of his chips. And really, it was a cooler situation when he had the nut flush, and the same card that gave him the nut flush gave me the full house. Regardless, he was so aggressive. I feel like he was putting in the chips either way. Whether I made that card or he made his card, he was going to bet like he had it, I believe, because I really only had $130 when it came to the river bet.
So I'm just happy that I stayed and kept grinding until I finally made something happen, finally hit a flop, or a turn I should say. I started with 320, added on for 100, and cashed out with $1,194. If you enjoy the aerial video on this vlog, I fly a Mavic Pro. It's got a 4K camera, very easy to fly, I use an iPad, but you can also use an iPhone. It doesn't work so great with my Android phone, but it should work with most Androids. It's a lot of fun to fly, takes great videos, and it's super smart. The GPS won't let it get lost. It comes right back to you if it gets out of range, and I love flying it. Make sure to smash that like button if you've enjoyed this, and please subscribe. I've been upgrading the video and the audio, trying to make this more enjoyable for everyone. Thanks for watching.